Desmond. So this stones we're using, this is the Kawehi Imu stone. Yeah, we are talking about two different heating rocks, yeah, or mechanisms. One is the Imu stone, yeah, which comes from the land, comes down along the dry stream beds in Kau'u, and we try to look for the ones that have a lot of the holes and are very porous. Again, you can connect science, and you can connect some of the core curricula in terms of this absorbing the heat. And then this is you go explain the coral that we're using that you picked up.
Sea coral?
Huh?
Is that sea coral?
It was a live sea coral, yeah, that washed up. Where did we get this coral? Where did we gather this from?
On the shoreline?
Yeah, what shoreline?
Uh,
Koloa, next to Punaluu.
and I've been there for a long time.
Yeah,
so
Koloa Beach. Anyway, Koloa Beach, yeah. Right above is Kawehi Ryder, yeah, which is a Punaluu side of Ke'eku Heiau, which is located right above Kawa. But anyway, these are all the coral that came up on the high tide. And then they gathered this, and then this is what we use. So it's twofold. One, if you don't have enough firewood along the seashore, whatever you have, you make your fire, you use the coral, it heats up, and then it becomes your stove, yeah, for cooking. And after you do all your cooking, you can pull over your meat, you can cook your chicken. I have some other fish that I'll be putting directly on top the stones. Another way would be putting it in this umeke, yeah, into the gourd. I was up kind of late last night preparing my lesson plan. So I was supposed to use the Imu stone from the Imu for the steaming, and then we would pour water inside. It would create a lot of steam, and you'd end up with a cooked product, yeah? Yeah. If you look at this, yeah, so on the bottom we have the hali'i that we put as our separator on the pohaku so that it doesn't singe the meat. And then I put some seaweed. The limo type is aki. The turtles just love it down there. It's also one of the varieties of seaweed that they use for extracting gelatin, for cooking, and also a byproduct that they use for making shampoo. This variety of seaweed called aki. You can find a lot of information on that in the book by Kupuna Isabella Abbott, who passed away, but she was very well known for her knowledge of seaweeds. I think she did the most extensive work on seaweed. Anyway, so you put water, then it creates a steaming, yeah, because we didn't have pots, yeah, in the old days. So this was their mechanism, yeah, of steaming, yeah, whether it would be chicken or anything, and then they put hali'i, la'i on top, and then it would steam in about maybe an hour, 2 hours, yeah. Yeah, depend how big and the type of food that you were cooking. So.
And that gourd is not gonna burn?
No, yeah, it's not gonna burn because what we did was I soaked it down the night before.
Oh.
Yeah, and then we just leave it on the side, and then as you cook it more and more, then it becomes well used, yeah, like a regular.
Like a clay pot.
Yeah, like a clay pot. Yeah, but you know the interest. This gourd was gifted to us by someone that dances with Debbie, but. You know, most of the gourds now that are given as prizes at the Marimana comes from California and Mexico that they pass out. We don't have, you still have some of the old strain, yeah, but I don't know anybody that is growing it over here. But this one came from the Kau'u area. Yeah, being that Kau'u is pretty much the last frontier, I think we still have a lot of our old seedlings. Okay, so backtracking on this, this is the counterpart of some of the la'au that we used in the Imu today. So one being what Desmond is holding. Desmond, what is that?
Molten apple.
Okay, what is that? Polynesian, exotic, native,
Native.
or Polynesian introduced?
What meaning to be?
Yeah, meaning they brought that with the canoes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, as one of their survival plans. Plus, that was the only fruit that we had next to the akala berry that grows in the forest, which is endemic. Yeah, this is Polynesian introduced. Yeah, so the ohia ai is this one that we use. Yeah, so we have that inside here also, using as a wood. Any kind of fruit tree, they use it for smoking, but you can also use it for the imu. Where we from on Oahu in Kahalu, we have a lot of Java plum, so that's what we use. Should I bring the Java plum? Okay, so I guess one way of integrating the subject matter teachers would be based on the wood type, the density, the variety, the ethnicity, if it's endemic, it's native, because some wood dries much faster than others as compared to the macnut. Bring the macnut up here. As compared to like the macnut is a hard wood, but it's also a good wood for smoking. I use this in the imu. Try and grab the keawe. This is what everybody thinks you need to use, yeah, the keawe for when you're making your imu. But the Hawaiian people, there was no keawe here. They used the kukui. They would use guava. They would use mountain apple. They would use hau. Hau, if you cut the wood green and you begin to burn it, as the moisture evaporates, that thing produces a blue flame, which is a very hot flame. It's amazing. I learned that from this kupuna who used to help me boil slop for my pigs. And he would cut the green hau, and as the fire was going, he would just fuel the fire with that, and in no time the thing would just come, very, very hot. So I learned something there. Also, it's a wood that they would use for the iako, yeah, the outriggers for the wa'a, yeah, for the canoes, and then also cottage, yeah, a type of cottage, yeah. So again, the endemic one then. Which one is our endemic one? You hold it. What's the name of that one? We're surrounded by that tree over here, and you're close to Tutupele. Start with an O. Next to ohia ai. Huh? Ohia. Yeah? That's an ohia tree, yeah? With the red and yellow blossoms, yeah? But anyway, this also is used, yeah, for the imu too, yeah? Aside from what we have now going on, which is the disease, yeah? What's the name of the disease we got going on with this? But now that's not, the COVID is the disease, the human disease. What is the tree disease that has been affecting our ohia? What was that now? What was that, teacher?
Rapid ohia.
The rapid ohia. Yes. Yeah. So we can go all directions, yeah, on plant study and plant biology and so forth, yeah. And there's several good books. One is the Native Planters that I consider a Bible that was put together in the 30s. You got two books, one by Beatrice Krause, who was another ethnobotanist that's since passed on, and Isabella Abbott. Those three books, Plants and Its Uses by Isabella Abbott and Beatrice Krause, very interesting. I have the books here, I'll bring them out later. But anyway, that combines with what we're doing. So, when we set it up the imu, how did we do? Can you give them the steps?
Put the macnut first, right?
No. We dig the hole first,
Oh,
right?
dig it first.
Yeah, we get the hole first, right? Okay, once we get the hole, what's the process? What's the layers that we do?
We go from
What do we-
smallest to biggest.
Right, but what's we use a newspaper, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And we use newspaper now because we're in the modern time. Yeah, before they would use the fiber, yeah, yeah, coconut fiber, and there's these little twigs, yeah, and whatnot. Okay, so from there, how do you set up the imu? So we use the twigs. Then we go from the small to the little bigger, and the big one, right?
Yeah.
And then we combine all these wood types, yeah, in our imu, yeah. So I lit it at 5 o'clock this morning. Gives about 3 hours, so by 7:30 it was ready already. Yeah. Then we had to take out some of the burning wood because it would singe the food. Yeah. And then based on your heat, when you look at your imu, then you know how much of the ground cover to put, which is what we call the name hali'i. Hali'i, yeah. So that's the ground cover that we put based on how hot the fire is, and then we put our food. Yeah, I try to mimic a little bit by weaving not real perfect basket, but just enough to give an idea where you can put your potato and whatnot inside the eke. The Hawaiians call basket eke. And then this would also be another method that they used in the old days. And their tools of choice, in the old days weren't shovels and whatnot, because there was no shovel. So can you imagine now, hand, feet, and the o'o stick was this, right here. Yeah. This is iron pine, by the way. It's a very dense wood. This thing makes good charcoal, but doesn't hold the heat that much. I use this too for the imu. Yeah, this can be used too. But this would be like maybe a form of the o'o. So in all their cultivation, in everything that they did, it was with their hands, their feet, the o'o stick, the haniu. The haniu would be considered the base of the coconut that they would pat the banks, when they would make their gardens and whatnot. That's what the Hawaiians call the base of the coconut leaf, the haniu. Yeah, and they would weave their baskets and then put their food inside. Yeah, we use chicken wire, as you guys can see. Plus, I slide in a pan for putting lavalu in. But lavalu is, what is lavalu? Come over here, you two guys. What is the lavalu? When we were talking about the lavalu, you don't see much of that in the imu anymore, which is basically fish. You put in the tea leaf, roll them, tie them, so no open, and then you put them in the imu, So that's what we have here. We put a dressing of seaweed on the bottom, and then we put the we put the lavalu fish on top, and then we'll see how it comes out when we have it. So again, this is where the teachers now will come in by connecting the different strategies and maybe zoning in on maybe a particular project that individual students, based on their interests, could be doing. Like him, his interest is doing this kind of gardening. This boy's interest is in the fishing, making net and stuff like that. And he's been learning from Uncle Chucky over there. Yeah. So the next thing is him go on the boat and whatnot. So it's just amazing. It makes really, I think this kind of lessons makes, I think these guys begin to think, just setting up the fire. And then I was talking to them about the charcoal that we use today, where you just flick a match on it and boom, you got instant barbecue. But little do people know, you ingesting the lighter fluid that has absorbed the briquette, so that you don't have the firewood, which then makes you don't know even how to set up a fire to have a natural kind of fire. So these are the kind of things that would bring good discussion, I think, based on doing something like this, where you're cooking your food, especially because of there's so much food cooking shows on the TV. We have one that is a friend of ours, Lanai, Lanai, he's always on a cooking Hawaiian style. Yeah, of course I know he never did do something like this, not yet. They're always behind the hotel or someplace. But the mother is very good friends of ours when we lived on Lanai. Anyway, anything else? The other thing too, is being thankful for you folks doing this, but the idea is using this as a teaching tool to ignite and to stimulate young people's minds to go in whatever direction they want to. But this maybe in one activity area could stimulate them to want to maybe, I want to go fishing, looking at a net that is 40-something years old, and then looking at Uncle Chucky talking about that opelo net, for example. These are the kind of things that we hope to see come out, And I think directions of occupation should be in that kind of area. But for a lot of these young students here in this community, a lot of these kids are visual learners, which makes them hands-on. And that's a challenging part here, especially because you don't have much jobs state or county-wise, unless you drive 60 miles to Hilo or a little further to Kona, or you pick coffee or McNut, or you hunt or you fish. So you really have a resilient kind of breed here, I think. Plus, I think this is the last frontier, at least on this big island. You know, because we kind of protected by the national park on two sides. Yeah, of course that could be a double-edged sword too. Yeah, but anyway, you know, we have a lot to be thankful for.